everyone, welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be talking about the universally beloved show, Friends. Friends is one of my all-time favorite TV shows. I've seen every single episode so many times. I love it so much, and today I'm going to take a deep dive into the series and discuss a lot of different elements of the show. I first discovered the show years ago. It was on from 1994 to 2004. My family really loves this show. They used to watch it all the time. So growing up, it was always on. I vividly remember watching the series finale as a kid with my parents. However, I didn't know what was going on because I personally didn't follow the show at the time. My parents are a big fan of the show, and then later in life, during high school and especially in college, I got very obsessed with it. And I've seen every single episode multiple times. It's so comforting to watch, it's absolutely hilarious, and it stands the test of time. If you've never heard of Friends, or if you've been living under a rock, the show is basically about a group of 20-something-year-olds, and they're navigating their love lives and their work lives in New York City. And they are all friends, wouldn't you know? My favorite character is Phoebe. She is absolutely hilarious. Her comedic timing is incredible. I love how Phoebe is unapologetically herself all the time. She doesn't care what anyone thinks. Phoebe is wonderfully weird. She's very quirky. She's very eccentric. She's a loyal friend. And I love that she doesn't take any crap from anyone. She stands up for herself. She tells it like it is. She's very funny. She's very kind as well. And she's just a great character. Phoebe is amazing, and I think that she adds a lot to the show because she's so different than the other characters. And anytime that Rachel or Monica has a problem, Phoebe has great advice because she's no nonsense, she's very honest, and she's an incredible character. Another thing I love about Phoebe is that she enjoys playing the guitar. She loves writing songs, and none of them are good. However, she doesn't care what anyone thinks. She goes on playing her music because that's what she enjoys doing. And I just love that about her. She gets up on stage, she's fearless, she sings her funny songs, and she just loves it. Phoebe is also super confident. Anytime she meets a guy that she likes, she flirts with him right away. And she's very smooth. So that's a cool thing about Phoebe as well. All of the other central characters of the show knew each other in some way. Phoebe is kind of an outsider. Chandler and Joey were roommates in college, and then Monica and Ross are brother and sister. Rachel, Monica, and Ross all went to high school together, and then Joey and Chandler are roommates currently in the show. They're all somehow connected to one another, and then Phoebe is kind of the outsider of the group, but she definitely fits, and I think that she's a great addition to the core circle. My favorite couple is Ross and Rachel. I love how their relationship plays out over the course of the series. Ross has been in love with Rachel since high school, and it's really beautiful because he has had a crush on her forever, and he finally ends up dating her, which is a dream come true for him. I just think it's really sweet that Ross loved Rachel when they were teenagers and then they end up dating as adults. Ross and Rachel are the central couple of the series. A lot of the storylines revolve around them. I love their dynamic together. Anytime those two are in a scene with each other, it's always funny or dramatic. They're very entertaining to watch. The big debate is, were Ross and Rachel really on a break? Ross and Rachel end up dating for a short amount of time during the series, and then they break up. However, when they do part ways, Rachel says, let's take a break. To Ross, he interprets that as them breaking up and officially ending the relationship. Although to Rachel, it wasn't an official breakup. So on the night that they part ways, Ross does go with another woman, and then Rachel finds out the next day. This is not a good look on Ross's part, that he only waited a few hours after ending things with Rachel to be with another woman. It's not great. However, I feel that they were technically broken up, so technically Ross did not cheat on Rachel. However, in Rachel's eyes, he betrayed her. Rachel sees this as the ultimate betrayal, that Ross was with another woman mere hours after Ross and Rachel were fighting, which I get it. If I was Rachel, I would be mad too. And then the running joke throughout the course of the series is that Ross says him and Rachel were on a break. What do you think? Were they on a break? Were they not on a break? Was Ross in the wrong? He was. However, Rachel eventually gets over it, and after Ross and Rachel date for a brief amount of time, they break up, but then they eventually become friends again. I love watching their relationship because it's not smooth sailing. There's a lot of conflict that happens. There are many ups and downs. There are many obstacles that Ross and Rachel have to overcome in order to be together ultimately. My favorite season is when Ross and Rachel finally date. I believe it's either season 2 or season 3. They have to go through a lot in order to be in a relationship with each other. But when they are dating, it's very sweet. It's really romantic. On their first date, he takes her to the planetarium and they lie underneath the stars. And that's just a really sweet moment. My favorite episode is the one with the prom video. This solidified the show for me as one of the greatest TV shows of all time. I felt like this was a very pivotal episode, and it really showed how strong the writing is. The comedic timing is incredible, and the storyline of this episode is one of the best overall. Basically, what happens to the episode is that Monica gets a hold of her home movie from prom night. She has a tape of Ross and Monica and Rachel getting ready for the prom. They all knew each other as teenagers. Ross had a crush on her. He was in college at this point, but he was home for break. All of the friends gather around the TV and they watch this home movie of them getting ready for prom night, and Rachel's date doesn't show up. She's really upset in the home movie. She's crying because Chip was supposed to take her to the prom and he did not show up in time. Rachel doesn't want to go because she doesn't have a date. Ross's parents suggest that Ross takes her so she can be happy. Rachel was unaware that this scheme was going down, and so Ross goes upstairs, he gets ready, he puts on his tuxedo, he has flowers, and Jack, who is Ross's father, says, "Rachel, here's your knight in shining armor," and then he says, "Oh no," and it shows Rachel running off out the door with her prom date. Chip showed up, and it cuts back to Ross, and Ross looks absolutely devastated because he wanted to take Rachel to the prom. And then it cuts back to present day, and all the friends are sitting around watching this tape. Rachel realizes how deep Ross's feelings were for her. He's had loving feelings for her since they were teenagers, and this moment proves that. And then she realizes this, she walks over to him and she kisses him. And it's a really beautiful, iconic moment of the show. I love this episode so much. It's so entertaining, and I just love the way everything played out. It's such a satisfying payoff when Rachel finally kisses Ross at that point, because the feelings have been building forever, and then they finally kiss, and it's just such a great moment. Another one of my favorite moments of the show is when Ross and Rachel are fighting in the coffee house. Rachel finds out about Ross's feelings towards her, and Ross has a girlfriend. He went to China, he met Julie, he's dating this new girl, and Rachel is dealing with the fact that she now has feelings for Ross, she wants to be with him. So they're fighting in the coffee shop, he leaves, she's upset on the couch, she's crying, and then she goes to open the door and Ross is there waiting for her. And then they kiss. This is a beautiful moment. Again, this is very satisfying to watch because I root for these two to be together. I love seeing them with each other. And that kiss at the coffee house is so dramatic and romantic. I love it. Originally, the writers wanted the central couple to be Joey and Monica. Joey and Monica would have filled the roles that Ross and Rachel did eventually. And that would have been really interesting to see, Joey and Monica being the central characters of the show. That would have been very entertaining, actually. The writers ended up scrapping that idea. They wanted Joey and Monica to be together, but there was never any point in the actual run of the show that that happens. There are a few scenes where Joey and Monica are a bit flirtatious with one another. There's one episode where Joey actually has a dream about cuddling Monica. However, it doesn't get past that. It's really not that deep with them. They're actually friends, and they remain friends throughout the series. Another couple that should have been but never was is Joey and Phoebe. I always wanted Joey and Phoebe to end up together. They are so funny when they're with each other. There's this one scene where they're racing the chick and the duck, and them being in a scene together is just absolutely hilarious. They're very similar to one another. They have a lot of overlapping qualities. They're both extremely hilarious. They're very loyal friends. I feel like they're a great match. Lisa Kudrow, who plays Phoebe, and Matt LeBlanc, who plays Joey, went to the writers and wanted them to reveal at the end of the series that Joey and Phoebe have been together, secretly dating this whole time. However, the writers didn't go for that and didn't write it in. I agree with Matt LeBlanc and Lisa Kudrow. I feel like it would have been a nice payoff to see Joey and Phoebe end up together. However, they remain friends, and that's okay by me, I guess. Someone who isn't in the main cast but is always popping up is Janice. Janice is my favorite friend, besides Phoebe, of course. I love Janice. She's absolutely hilarious. Every time I hear "oh my god," it makes me laugh. I love that they kept bringing Janice back on, and Chandler would run into her all the time, and it was always funny when she would show up. Janice and Chandler dated on and off for a while, and then when he was finally finished with the relationship with her and he was dating Monica, Janice would still show up in funny ways. And every time she does, she adds a lot to every episode that she's in. My least favorite character is Sean Penn's character. I can't remember his name, but he dated Ursula, who's Phoebe's twin sister, and then he dated Phoebe. He kept mixing up the two, and I just didn't like him. I thought that was a very strange storyline. No offense to the actor, he did a great job. His character, though, was not the best. Speaking of guest stars, there were a lot of really great ones throughout the course of the series. Julia Roberts was in an episode. She dated Chandler, but she was only there to get revenge on him because he made fun of her when she was a kid and they were both in school. I thought she was an absolutely amazing guest star. During one episode, when they're all in the coffee house together, Billy Crystal and Robin Williams are sitting on the couch with all of the friends, and they are absolutely hilarious. Their comedic timing was incredible with each other, and they were discussing how Robin Williams' wife was cheating on him. Billy Crystal was the one who was having an affair with Robin Williams' wife. And those two together were incredible. They were so entertaining, and I thought that they were the best guest stars. There was also an episode where George Clooney popped up. He was a doctor that Rachel dated, and there were a lot of amazing guest stars. For all the good points that Friends has, and there are many good points, there are a few episodes that aren't that great, but 99% of the show is very entertaining and I really enjoy. With that being said, one of my least favorite episodes is when Monica makes Joey something out of ham or some kind of food, and he has to put it for an audition because Joey is an actor. I felt like that was a really strange storyline, and I just didn't enjoy that episode. No offense to the writers, again, it's a very good show. We all have our not-so-great episodes, and that's okay. The worst guest star of the show, even though I did mention Sean Penn, which again, he's an incredible actor, no offense to him. I didn't care for the Bruce Willis storyline. I thought it was odd when him and Rachel dated. Do you agree with this? Because there was a huge age difference there. And then he was also the father of this girl who was dating Ross. Again, Bruce Willis is a very talented actor. No offense to him, it was just not one of my favorite characters, but that's okay. Friends is a comedy, it's full of laughs, it's very lighthearted, it's very wholesome most of the time, and I just love watching it, and there's so many good jokes. One of my favorite jokes is when the whole cast is in Barbados. They're there for Ross's dinosaur convention, he's giving a speech, and so when they get to the hotel that they're all staying at, Joey meets a woman, and she says that she doesn't have a TV, and he says, "You don't have a TV, then what's all your furniture pointed at?" For me, this is the best joke of the whole show. It's so funny because it's so relatable. I don't understand people who don't watch TV. All I do is watch TV. I love it. So when people say that they don't watch it, I'm very confused, like Joey was. The best parents on the show were Jack and Judy. They were Ross and Monica's mom and dad. Jack is so hilarious to me. The tone and his voice and the way he speaks is just so funny. Every time he says a joke, it lands, and every time that they popped up, it was just so funny. A controversial topic of the series is Joey and Rachel dating. This storyline ruffled a lot of fans' feathers, however, I loved it. I thought it was so entertaining and really shook up the group's dynamic, and it provided a lot of conflict. It also showed a very jealous Ross, but I thought that Joey and Rachel dating was just such a fun storyline because Joey dealing with having loving feelings for Rachel was so fun to watch, and then when Ross finds out, it's absolutely priceless. The episode the one where Ross is fine and he's dealing with the fact that Joey and Rachel are dating and he's absolutely losing it, although he's pretending that he's okay with the situation and that he's totally fine with how everything is going. That episode is so funny. Joey and Rachel date for a short amount of time, but they don't belong together ultimately. They're better off as friends. They are very similar, but they don't balance each other out, and they're kind of a mismatch romantically. Joey is very silly, and Rachel is very silly, and so Rachel, I feel like, is just better with Ross because Ross balances her out, and they just make a better couple. The series finale of Friends is the best series finale ever. It's one of the greatest television episodes that I've ever watched in my entire life. It has everything that you want to see as a viewer. It ties up all loose ends, and it's very satisfying. The finale is a two-parter. Rachel gets a job in Paris, and so she says goodbye to all her friends. She says bye to everybody individually, although Ross doesn't get a goodbye. He confronts her about this after the goodbye party. He says, "I don't get a goodbye," and she says that it's too hard for her to say goodbye to him because they have so much history together. They end up kissing, they spend the night together, and then Rachel says that it's a perfect way to say goodbye. Rachel leaves for the airport, and Ross realizes that he is still in love with her. He races through the airport to confess his love for her. Phoebe goes with him. Also, I love how Phoebe always rooted for Ross and Rachel to get together. That's another great thing about Phoebe. She has many amazing qualities. Ross finds Rachel at the airport, and he says that he's in love with her. He doesn't want her to go to Paris. He doesn't want her to move away from New York. And she says she can't do this right now. She gets on the plane, and then we see Ross back at his apartment, and Rachel shows up, and she says that she got off the plane. They kiss, they end up together, and it's a really beautiful ending. I thought the series finale was perfectly done. It was amazing in every way, and the whole show is very entertaining. That is all for my take on Friends. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.